Hey everyone, welcome back to the Flat Thunder channel. My name's Andy, and we're going to take a little ride in a 1983 Ford F150 with a flatbed, aka the Flat Thunder Icon truck. Stick with us, we'll take you for a little ride, and I'm going to give you the backstory behind this old truck. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Flat Thunder channel. My name's Andy, and this is my 1983 Ford F150 flatbed, aka Flat Thunder. This is the channel icon truck. There's so many different areas of this truck that can tell a story. This particular area on the right front fender, or the passenger side fender, this is Bondo if you can't tell. Obviously it's seen better days, but this was one of my first attempts at applying Bondo to feather out body lines. This area, all the paint was removed, and there was a definite hump from the factory paint down to the surface that was here. And over the years, all the paint has degraded and burned off and washed off of the Bondo, but the Bondo is still here. Look at that. It did look good at one point in time. Still solid metal underneath. Back when trucks used to be made with real steel. Even these tires tell a story. These tires were from the original Firestone warranty/recall. These tires were on my mom's 1992 Ford Explorer, and they were Firestone, I believe, Wrangler tires. I picked these up when the warranty or recall was in, and I had to pay an upcharge because they're a little bit bigger, but $60 for the upcharge, all 4 tires. So $60 set of tires, that's pretty good, but it was way back in like early 2000s. I think it's time to replace these guys again. This is the headboard on the custom-made flatbed, and you'll notice there's an image here in the middle. If you can't tell what it is, this is a Ford oval that I made a stencil for when I was in high school. Cut it out with an X-Acto knife. It was a laminated piece of paper, and I was able to spray paint the silver Ford with a blue oval inlay. And this has been on here since I was in high school. So that's been a couple of years ago. It still looks somewhat identifiable from here. But yeah, high school. Still on there. You can still tell it's a Ford oval anyways. Pretty cool. Oh, hey everyone. This was 20 years ago. You probably see me sitting on the back of this here old flatbed, parked up next to a campfire or some other outing or social event, enjoying a couple long necks. That's good. Custom made flatbed, aka the flatbed. Look at her shining. She's a beaut, isn't she? Stripe's missing right there. I'm gonna get that put back on. Also missing our tube here. This bumper is supposed to have a tube on it. Need to replace that. She rusted out a couple years ago. Custom made flatbed. At first I really didn't understand why this bed was like this. Dad and I built this bed back when I was in high school, and he had a genius idea. If you're going to build a flatbed, no matter what the kind or what you're building the flatbed on, if you build the flatbed directly on the frame, you'll never be able to load the truck. You need clearance from the top of the tire to the bottom of the bed side. So this bed was created with this distance such that the bottom of the bed side was at the top of the fender wells. And this truck can be loaded down such that the axle snubbers back there hit and your tires are still not bottomed on your bed. Genius. The rear of the truck has the factory original taillights. It's up there turned from 90 sideways. And that to me just looks really cool. That taillight, which normally would be like this, is turned like this. Then our custom Ford, the best never rest mud flaps. Those are actually from the original build. This tube we need to redo and also re-support the hitch. If you're noticing this post here, this was an aftermarket edition Harbor Freight custom. Not overly proud of it, but it does the job and it actually works. I added this. This is a jib crane that has a winch and a hydraulic control, so it would come out up here and I can load stuff on the bed. I use this to load my workbench, my lathe, and my milling machine onto this truck. This is how the stripe is supposed to look on the passenger side, and I believe Dad repainted the stripe on the door, but I'll have to look at pictures. The stripe was missing or worn off of one side or the other, and Dad repainted it. So I'm going to try to keep this design on the refurb. I want the same exact stripe. You'll notice she's missing the front bumper. I still have the front bumper, or at least a replacement front bumper, because I added this, if you can see it, I added the snow plow to the front of the truck in 2014. That's a Meyer Easy Mount Plus 2 snow plow bracket. and I just never got around to reinstalling the snowplow bracket. I need to make some custom nuts, basically T-nuts, to go in the slot for the bumper. I'm going to hold off on that until the cab gets replaced, because I have to remove the fenders and potentially the front radiator support. With the addition of the snowplow, I added airbags to the shocks, but the truck already came pre-equipped with heavy-duty coil springs, so the front end was already stacked. But these give us some extra support as well. Everything on this truck tells a story. That door opens pretty smooth. Doesn't latch so good. I actually had to shim out the striker bolt because the back of the cab is a little loosey-goosey. The rocker is completely gone and the floorboard's seen better days. I have a replacement rocker, replacement cab corner, but the cab is just way too far gone to put that type of work into it. So I have a whole new cab, factory original, to put on this girl. I'm really excited about it. Back when I originally drove this truck, this front fender was never like this. The hinges are bad on the door. The door used to droop a little bit and slide forward. So I got really mad one day because when that would happen, you couldn't open the door without wrinkling the fender or the door seam. So I took a pair of pliers and I bent the front fender over, and it looked horrible, but then I never had to worry about the door. I could always open the door. High school days. The bottom of the door, great stuff. Isn't that great? The outside skin was loose because it rusted away at the bottom here, and it used to rattle from the outside to the inside. So that was great stuff back in high school, so 20 years ago. Let's step on in and check out some of the in-cab amenities that you may have missed. It's right here. This is a soda pop holder. That's a water, but you get the idea. This was a high school project in shop class. Look at that beaut. Rolled ring soldered together, the form bracket. Works great. Factory original seat. Aftermarket gauges that I installed. Has a cool little pocket here for storage. Mechanical 4-wheel drive gear shift. It's my favorite, most reliable. You notice here, this truck stunk really bad when I got it, and I thought it was a good idea to put, I had some an air freshener that was in a little can, and it had insert pieces, and I thought it was a good idea to just place that insert piece in the vent because it stunk so bad. Well, if you can see there, it melted my vent, so that's not cool. 94,226 miles, and I believe that is original miles. I don't think it will round over at all. Nobody could afford to pay the fuel to drive this thing that much. This instrument cluster, this truck always sat outside, so the needles were always faded. If you look at the fuel needle here, it's discolored quite a bit. Temperature needle, I think, is also discolored, but better. Well, if you look close enough at this, you'll see that the speedometer, it has a little paint overlay on the sides. Well, I thought I could touch this up with a spray can and tape it off, I actually tried to remove the needle, and I was really afraid it was going to damage the gauge back when I was in high school, 16 or 17 years old. So I ended up spraying the orange paint into a cup and using a Q-tip to apply it. So now that needle is more visible, but I did get a little bit over at the base of the needle. Memories. Cool. But she has seen better days. That's a tarp inside. Yeah, that gap, there's nothing left there. That's no good. There's your license plates, that's your numbers. Old license plates make really good fillers. It's time to replace that. This is the infamous black toolbox. This bad boy will hold ice and beer. Not that I know how or why, but it definitely used to be topped off with ice and beer back in its day. Not anymore, but back in its day, definitely made for a good cooler. We're up on the deck now, and this isn't the original wood. This is replacement plywood. It was treated plywood, and I'm not for sure what happened, but you see the big flaked off areas. It's like it swelled up with water and delaminated probably like a year after we replaced it. The original deck lasted much longer, and it was just regular grade tongue and groove plywood. I think we're going to replace this with something different. I'm not for sure what yet. Nice solid back window. It does not have a slider. Gives you a very clear view so you can see what you're backing into. There was definitely some shenanigans that took place on the top of this truck, on the very roof, on the windshield, and on the hood. We got some dentations in this area here, and if you're watching this, you know who you were, and you know you dented my hood. Shame on you. Just kidding. We have a whole new hood. This one's obviously seen better days. It's had this hole in it since I purchased it. It's kind of weird because it's perfectly round. So on the refurbishment, have a whole new cab, repop front fenders, and a factory original hood to put on it. So this whole body is going to be upgraded. Yeah. Let's take a look in the engine bay. Look at that. Trick flow intake manifold. What? Trick flow. That's not stock. Tube headers, stainless steel from a Mustang? What? That's not stock. Mustang valve covers, custom painted with a Ford logo? Not stock. This is a brake master cylinder and booster that we replaced in another video. Check that out if you're interested in that. So obviously the engine fuel injection system was upgraded. It used to be a variable rate Venturi carburetor up here, which was not very good. When I repurchased this truck, it was not running because it had an issue with the fuel injection. It didn't have fuel injection. It had an issue with electronic ignition for the carburation, and it just was not running. It was a dead horse. Purchased it. I fixed it as it was, but then decided it was time to upgrade to the Trick Flow fuel injection. This is actually a 19 86 fuel injection wiring harness from a Ford Mustang, and the wind. This is a 1986 Ford Mustang fuel injection wiring harness combined with pieces and parts from a 1989 Ford Mustang wiring harness to create a mass airflow, this is your mass airflow meter, fuel injection system for this 351 Windsor. All the components were from, electrical components were from a 302 5-liter Ford engine, but this mass airflow sensor system allowed us to adapt it to a 351 Windsor, and luckily the 351 Windsor and a high output 5-liter engine has the same firing order, so this all worked out really good. All the wiring and the necessary components for the engine control system are inside the old air conditioner evaporator housing, because this truck was originally equipped with AC, but has long since been removed. So all the wiring is in here, and the ECM or computer is hiding inside this air box. She runs really good, and knock on intake hose, this is the best / most reliable pickup truck or car that I've ever owned. I added the extra battery for the snowplow. Got our sweet air horn. There's our hole, you can see. Well, it's perfectly round, I'm not sure why. Ford 1980s quality. Believe it or not, this is not the factory frame. When I originally purchased this truck in high school, the frame was rusted off from here back. The rear leaf spring hangers did not have anything to attach to. It was completely gone. We rebuilt the truck, but ultimately it rusted away so thin that it cracked in between the front leaf spring hanger, and that's when we decided this frame was no longer any good. We needed to get a donor truck. Completely stripped the donor truck down, stole the frame, and this is from a newer vintage truck, same driveline. This is my first four-wheel drive pickup truck, a 1983 Ford F150 short bed four-wheel drive. So many stories that I could tell you that came about because of this truck. So many different things that I've done. Some that probably were not very smart. Some things that probably could have got me in trouble. And some things that were just plain fun. Towards the end of my career in high school, I ended up selling this truck because I needed something a little bit more reliable for college, and I had a 1995 Ford F150 4x4 short bed, and it was with a heavy heart that I had to get rid of this truck. There's just so many things, so many memories. This bed, Dad helped me build this bed from scratch, completely his idea, so there's a ton of sentimental value in this, and I hated to see it go, but at the time I just couldn't keep it anymore. Over the years, it went through a couple different owners, and she came up for sale again, and I ended up buying it back. So what they say is true, I think. If you set it free and it comes back, it must be true love. So this old 1983 Ford F150, it's not going anywhere. This baby's gonna stay with me forever. Flat Thunder. Everyone wants to know where Flat Thunder came from, and it came from this truck. I never referred to this truck as Flat Thunder. I always referred to it as the Flatbed for obvious reasons. It has a pretty sweet flatbed that Dad and I built. We had a garage sale several years ago, but it was after I purchased the truck again. After we sold it for the first time, I purchased it, it came back to me. We had a garage sale at the old family house, and I was using this truck to move some stuff around and to bring some items in for the garage sale. One of my neighbors that have lived down the road from me for many moons when I was in high school said, "Hey, see the Flat Thunder's back." And my sister said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "You know, the truck with a flatbed that has the really loud exhaust. I used to come home pipes a-blazing every night on the weekend, and he always called the truck Flat Thunder." So that's where Flat Thunder came from. I'm Flat Thunder. This is the Flat Thunder channel. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch me and my channel. If you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Leave your questions and comments in that section below, and don't forget to tickle that subscribe button on your way out. We got a lot more videos coming out. Some may or may not include this old truck, maybe other trucks, maybe other old stuff. Who knows? Home improvement projects, we got it all. Thanks for watching, everyone.